Folks, welcome into That Betting Show. Monday, January 28th, 2019, Super Bowl week here at sportsbookreview.com. He's Teddy Savransky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour. Give me a follow on Twitter at RightSideVP, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs, designed to get you in and out in under 20 minutes. Let's get right to it here. Hot topics of the day, Teddy. Starts no further here than Super Bowl wagers expected to top $6 billion in 2019. Every day, it seems like we see new states jump on board. Legal gambling, illegal gambling, offshore gambling. We're all gambling, Teddy, on the Super Bowl.
We're all gamblers. Back in the day, probably more than 10 years ago now, maybe 15, I did this whole research project over the summer. I had nothing to write about for articles. The research project on the history of gambling, and it turns out monkeys gamble. Okay, gambling has been a part of who we are forever since we became humans. And when you think about, again, we speak mostly, and not exclusively, but we speak to his audience from the United States. And in the U.S., all we have is gamblers. Everyone that's in the country is here because they took a gamble. Their ancestors took a gamble and said, all right, we're going to leave our home and come to the USA. So, of course, we all gamble. All that being said, 10% of all adult Americans, 22.7 million adults making a bet. Frankly, I'll take the over, and I'll take the over on what they say, $6 billion. I'll take the over, big time. They're saying what? 1.8 million doing so illegally and 20-something million doing so legally. I'll take the over on the number of bettors that are doing it illegally as well. Whether it comes with offshore, squares, whatever you want to call it. Everyone is betting on the Super Bowl. It's America's betting holiday.
No, it's fantastic, and we all love it, and we're going to be getting down, and as the week goes on, Teddy and I both break down the game itself and also pick out some interesting prop bets that we can certainly cash in on. Teddy, the one thing I still find interesting here is now that, legalized gambling is now, outside of Nevada, New Jersey, Mississippi, whoever's coming into the game, more and more it seems like each and every month, CBS still comes out, Teddy, and says, you know what? We're not going to recognize gambling on the telecast throughout any numbers, totals, or anything fun. How long before that stigma actually shakes off of these archaic telecasts? Because it seems like the only ones that like to do it were old school Brent Musburger and also Al Michaels.
Jim Nantz is extraordinarily conservative. He's a conservative announcer. He doesn't change his ways. And, Nantz and Sims has been the CBS crew forever. So when those two leave, I would expect the newer group of announcers to get there. But as long as Jim Nantz is there and he's the lead play-by-play guy for CBS Sports, not going to happen. Take the over.
And exactly. We'll take the over in that, which is the reason why we have the BetCast here at sportsbookreview.com going to be taking place during the Super Bowl in Costa Rica. You want gambling talk during the telecast? You tune in us. We'll take care and we got you covered. Let's talk gambling here, Ted. And again, it seems like the WWF theme, you had the Royal Rumble last night out there in Arizona, but now a little bit of WWF innuendo here in the NFL. All of a sudden, look, one of the nicest places to live is in the southwestern part of this country. Arizona, Nevada, California. So now all of a sudden, 4 referees who are probably well-to-do off anyway, live in Southern California, but somehow do the game for the Rams and the Saints. And we're starting to call it into question here in the NFL, Teddy. Paranoia is setting in over there.
It is. Now, do I think that because all these refs lived in Southern California, they missed an obvious pass interference and an obvious helmet-to-helmet call?
Come on.
Huh? Maybe. No, it wasn't because they lived in Southern California, but what the NFL does is they set themselves up for this type of scrutiny. When you have bad officiating, people are going to dig. And when people dig, this is the type of stuff they'll find. Look, these guys should have all been assigned to the other game, not this game. As to whether that was the difference, I don't think their residency was the difference. But when you have bad refereeing, it has implications in how your league is looked at. This will be a continuing problem for the NFL. It is not an easily solvable problem.
Quote from the NFL, Teddy, the NFL put itself in a bad situation. This stuff has to be taken care of prior to the game. It's just guys not thinking of what's going on, nobody doing their checks and balances. The league is pretty much on top of this. This one let slip through the cracks. You know how it slipped through the cracks, Teddy? You're right. Coming into the NFC title game and blowing a big call, then they're going to look into it. If the game was officiated appropriately, one flag drops in that spot, nobody cares if these guys are from Southern California. That's just the way it is. NBA association talk. Wake up this morning, Teddy, punching up a script. What do we have here? Adrian Wojnarowski tweets out, Anthony Davis wants out. He's not going to sign with the Pelicans. Where is he going to go? I don't know. Maybe one location that seems correct. The Los Angeles Lakers. Could it be the Boston Celtics? always the haves and the have-nots in the NBA, Teddy, but this could swing the balance of power. Maybe not this year if a trade doesn't go down, but next year in free agency. Definitely sending shockwaves early today, Teddy, on a Monday through the sports betting community.
Yeah, and of course, this is all coming through Anthony Davis's agent, Rich Paul, who said, no. He's not going to be here. Time to go bye-bye. And of course, if you watch the Pelicans flounder throughout the Anthony Davis era, you can understand why he's ready to go bye-bye from New Orleans. This is a guy that wants to win. And as he's watched Boogie Cousins land in Golden State, he's like, yeah, maybe I can do some of this. Obviously, the two names that are being bandied about, the Celtics have a bunch of draft picks. The Lakers have a bunch of cap space. And if the brow and lands on either of those two teams, they make them into, I mean, not the Celtics weren't contenders, Celtics obviously contended, but it makes Boston that much more dangerous. And if the Lakers get Brow, I mean, Brow and James, that's a nice little duo with a team that has a whole lot of role players that can fill in. But what we like to do here on That Betting Show is talk about things that actually happen, not things that might happen. As the Davis trade and the implications go around, yeah, we'll talk about what it means for betting-wise. But for now, do we know where Anthony Davis is going to go? No, we don't. And until we do, all we can do is say, what's the appropriate way to bet? I'll say this. If you want a Lakers future or a Celtics future, bet it sooner rather than later, because those odds will change dramatically if they get Anthony Davis.
Yep, NBA oftentimes seems there, Teddy, more interesting off the court with analysis than actually on the court and playing. We'll see how it does play out and goes forward. Overnight line movers. This is what we like about this show because it does get taped, it's recorded, edited, and sent out. At the time this morning, Teddy, Golden State opened up, big favorite, and I see the punch and script up there, -8 to -9 in some outlets. But as we go live, information flows during the day. Draymond Green in a rest day. Teddy, looking at the lines right now, betonline.ag now at a 7. So instead of going from 8 to 9, back from 9-8 to 7, money never sleeps, Teddy. And sharp people are always looking for that next option to eat on here. Might have some available tonight with Golden State and Indiana.
And it's funny, the 7's getting popped. Now they're back to 7.5. I mean, as we speak, this line is jumping all around. The market's made an adjustment without Draymond Green. Now they're getting readjusted as the market say, you know what, even without Green, this Warriors team is pretty darn good. It's definitely worth noting. I'll talk about this a little bit later in the show as well. But this is a Warrior squad that has a very unique statistical profile. They haven't been good. They've been great in one row, double-digit favorites, 13-4 against the spread. In every other game, when they're not laying doubles, Golden State 9-22-1 against the number. And oh, by the way, that hasn't changed with Boogie Cousins joining the lineup. They're still covering as double-digit chalk, not covering at the same rate. They covered in Boston over the weekend, obviously, but it's been a Celtics, a Warriors team that has consistently failed in this role all year long.
See, folks, that's a radio pro right there, giving you a teaser drop for later to stay tuned between the Golden State Warriors and the Indiana Pacers, which we'll have coming up right there. Nuggets right there you're getting from Teddy. Moving forward here, talking about nuggets of gold. The public eating up some early numbers here. Denver Nuggets blow out the Sixers, but on its face, what a good win that was. Well, the Sixers didn't rest half of their squad. Maybe not so apparent, but early action here. Public loving the Denver Nuggets here against the Memphis Grizzlies. Opened up at 5. Bouncing around, looks like sportsbook.ag showing a -6. We got a little bit of movement in this one, and we'll see how it plays out as the day goes on. Could we have any more line moving here? But it looks like early, it's Denver Nuggets money, Teddy.
Yeah, and of course, when we talk about early money, there's some public money, but we talk about these early, the morning, the overnight moves and the early morning moves. This tends to be wise guy money, and certainly the wise guys haven't been in love with Memphis of lately. Memphis has been as bad as anyone. Of course, it's a Grizzlies team that's coming off a rare, very rare, what did they snap, an 8-game skid? They've been awful. But they won against Indiana in their last contest, took advantage of a Pacers team playing without Oladipo. Their first full game without him, and Indiana did not look good in that contest. But asking Memphis to win 2 in a row, you have a bad team that finally got a win. Now they got to play someone good again the next game. The market's saying, we don't trust the Grizzlies to notch 2 wins in a row, even at home.
Folks, you don't need Radio Row this week. You need That Betting Show on sportsbookreview.com. Give us a follow at SBR Sports Picks on Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube. There's a lot of line movement, a lot of information going on this week since it is Super Bowl week. So always hit that subscribe button. Each and every time me and Teddy go live here on That Betting Show, you get that notification to pop in and view the programming. We'll keep it moving right here on the Super Bowl, Teddy. Looking at some options out there, pulling back 2.5s now, showing back up. So we even had some line movement this morning on Pinnacle and Chris, both two offshore accounts here, bouncing back between -2, -2.5. But also seeing, Teddy, I know you talked about it last week, those 56.5s that started creeping forward. Now we're getting down to 56s. It is game week. Now the focus of the attention on the public is going to go to the Super Bowl. We'll see where some of these lines end up, but each and every day, moving a little bit time by time here.
Yeah, and of course, after I record this show today, I'm actually going to go down and there's a big lunch, and we're shooting some videos with a bunch of bookmakers in town. For tomorrow's show, I'll have a really good update on exactly what's going on action-wise here in Las Vegas. But one thing we know for sure, 90% of the money here in Las Vegas comes in the last 48 hours before kickoff. I'm sure bookies around the country will say 95% of the money is going to come in the 48 hours before kickoff. Basically, we haven't seen nothing yet. But what we have seen is that there is clear resistance. When this line has been bet up to 3, it's come back down to 2.5. Even at 2.5. And we got 2 pops this morning. 2.5 back to 2, up to 2.5, back to 2, now to 2.5 at Chris. So there is clearly wise guy interest in the LA Rams at some price. They were waiting for 3s. Yes. Now maybe they're starting to gobble up the 2.5s. I thought this line was going to close 3. I'm not convinced that it will. 2.5, 2.75. There will be books that go to 3, but the broader market doesn't look like it's going to get there as this move from 2.5 back down to 2 for the on the Patriots today will clearly tell you.
Yep, interesting stuff. We'll keep you updated as the week goes on as well. Watch what you bet, Teddy. In maybe another day, another time, Notre Dame Duke would have been a huge big-time matchup, maybe even decided ACC supremacy. Not so much anymore. 2 teams completely headed in the wrong direction from each other, I should say. Notre Dame just can't get out of the one way, getting pasted by Virginia over the weekend. Duke seemingly bouncing back at home, but down 7 early in the second half to Georgia Tech. Battle back and win that game. Now they go to Purcell Pavilion. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, national game tonight. Duke comes in 3-0 straight up, 2-1 against the spread. But how about Notre Dame, Teddy? 10-4 straight up at home, but only 4-10 against the number. What gives in Notre Dame these days?
Well, I mean, their team's not as good this year. They're only won straight up their last 7 contests. The only win this year during that span was a non-cover. They beat Boston College by 3. They were laying 6.5. They're coming off about as ugly a game as you're going to have for the Fighting Irish. 27-point home loss to Virginia. They were never in that game. It was over by halftime. In theory, it's supposed to be a circle the wagon spot for Mike Bray's squad. I don't know if they have any wagons to circle. It's not a particularly talented team. And, of course, Notre Dame now looking at back-to-back non-NCAA tournament appearances unless they make a run in the conference tournament in March, which, Bray's been there, 18, 19 years now? It may be the end of an era, especially if they got blown off the floor tonight by this Duke Blue Devil squad. Trey Jones came back, only 6 points and 4 assists against Georgia Tech. That game stayed under the total by 5 touchdowns. This total to me looks a little bit lofty given the pace that I'm expecting the Blue Devils to play at this evening, and given Notre Dame's offensive struggles. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a little bit of under money between now and tip-off. I wouldn't be surprised that under ends up cashing.
Interesting one there. Battle of Texas tonight, Teddy, in Lubbock, with TCU coming to town to battle Texas Tech. And we were punching it up a little bit earlier today. Lines were around that 4.5 range. We have seen some movement lately, going from 4.5 to 5.5 at Pinnacle. Looks like 5 is settling across the board in most offshore markets. TCU, Teddy, comes in 1-3 straight up, 2-2 on the road. Texas Tech eating your profits at home at a 3-8-1 clip. We'll see what changes tonight down in Big Texas. But taking a look at some of the early money, public can't get enough of Texas Tech right now, and that line is moving accordingly as right now.
And, I mean, from a straight-up standpoint, we're talking a TCU team that's 15-4, a Texas Tech team that's 16-4. All right, not that much difference, right? Texas Tech, the ranked squad of the two, they've been the darlings in the eyes of the media and in the eyes of the betting markets because of their elite defensive numbers. Their numbers have been tremendous, ranked in the top 5 defensively in literally just about every defensive category there is. The Wise Guys love defense. Wise Guys have been pounding this squad, Texas Tech, consistently. So what has that left us with? 15-4 versus 16-4. But TCU has been an undervalued commodity, 12-7 ATS. Texas Tech, 6-13-1 against the number, 1-8-1 against the number of their last 10. Epic defense, but no scorers, and the markets have had them priced too high all year. Lo and behold, what are we seeing today? Texas Tech money. I'll put it this way, not my money. This has been an overvalued team all season long. That hasn't changed as they're laying a price on their home floor tonight.
Warriors coming east, headed to battle Indiana. And the interesting part about this, as we talked about previously in the teaser, is money was coming in hard and heavy on the Warriors, but now dropping down to 7.5. You know what else has changed as well? The over seemingly getting a little bit of steam there. 229 now currently sits at their money line, minus 410 plus 340. If we take a look at this, everybody loves Golden State. Golden State always wins, but it's not about winning in gambling, folks. It's about covering the number on the road. Only ATS 12-13. Indiana, they can win at home, 18-6. 13-11 against the spread. No Victor Oladipo in this one, Teddy. What can we see out of this game? Because we are seeing the resting of Draymond Green. No Oladipo. Maybe they sleepwalk through this. What gives in this game?
Well, and it's worth noting what the markets are doing with the absence of Green. It's not just money coming in on Indiana as we speak. It's also money coming in on the over. Draymond Green, obviously, is Golden State's best low post defender. I talked earlier in the show about that incredible run for the Warriors. 13-4 ATS is double-digit chalk. 9-22-1 ATS in every other role. This is not their role. The Pacers were the only team in the NBA to sweep Golden State last year, if you forgot. Of course, in one of the games, the Warriors didn't start anybody. They were without all the 4 All-Stars, Curry, Thompson, Durant, and Green. And then they didn't have Curry in the second meeting. But nonetheless, the Pacers were the only team to sweep Golden State last year. All that being said, boy, if you watch the Pacers against the Grizzlies, it's hard to get excited about this team right now. You know, they put Tyreek Evans into the starting lineup to replace Oladipo. And A, Evans had a lousy game to start. B, the bench couldn't do anything because Evans has been their spark plug off the bench. And B, I mean, from an offensive standpoint, I think it was their third lowest scoring game of the season or something. It was third lowest field goal percentage of the season. It wasn't pretty in that contest. It was a Pacers bench that had been great. You take Evans off the bench, that affects the whole flow, and that makes me a notch or two nervous about backing Indiana tonight. In what should be a bounce-back spot in a home dog roll, I don't like the Pacers' rotations right now. I'm going to leave this game alone completely. El Paso for me.
Interesting there, because we're going to take a look at these lines. If you want all those line changes, folks, one place to go, SBRodds.com, because we're showing up now. Even maybe the 7.5s might clear off the board and get to 7, so we'll keep you posted on that as we go. Off the mic, Teddy. And if we're looking at Tom Brady here, he gets interviewed before they go off on their little gallivant, take that Patriots plane, down to Atlanta. No chance that this is his last game. And the only people that are really upset by this, as you see the Dolphins fans, the Jets fans, and the Bills fans hang their head. Teddy, if you were a fan of those teams, would you take one last final Tom Brady, Bill Belichick win, and they ride off into the sunset? Or is it good for the league that Tom Brady comes back and seemingly plays that we're not done yet and nobody believes in us, even though you get to the AFC title game in the Super Bowl damn near every year?
It's an interesting question. Look, Brady and Belichick are not riding off in the sunset. They could win this game 55-0, and they'll be back next year to defend it. I'm confident of that. Well, why? Nobody got anything better to do. What does Brady want to do? He's not the kind of guy that's going to sit around happily in retirement and do crossword puzzles and twiddle his thumbs and work on his cross-stitching. That's not Tom Brady. He'll be back. What's Belichick going to do? Can you imagine Belichick retired sitting at home watching soap operas? Nuh-uh. Not going to happen. Yes, they'll be back. Yes, Brady will go for 10. And if he gets 10, he'll go for 11. And if he goes for 11, he'll go for 12. I believe that Tom Brady will continue to play, not just this year, not just next year, well on in the future. He said that's what he wants to do, and I believe him. Why shouldn't we?
No, and I agree with you, too, which just leads me to believe we'll fast forward exactly 1 year on that betting show, Teddy, on this exact date next year, and we'll be breaking down Tom Brady in the Super Bowl and saying, will this be his last game? And he'll tell us again, absolutely zero. But the one thing I want to get into here as well, Teddy, is growing up as a kid, I honestly really enjoyed the NHL All-Star Game. I loved it. I was a big hockey fan. loved the Pro Bowl just to see as one of those year-end cap-offs because, I lived in the Philadelphia area. We didn't really make the Super Bowl, let alone come close to winning the Super Bowl. So it was always a lot of fun. But there is a time now that some things might be better if they don't actually happen anymore. Give out the awards. Yes, you're a Pro Bowler. It doesn't mean you have to play. I didn't tune in, Teddy, for more than 30 seconds of that game, maybe just crossing over channels for the Pro Bowl. The same thing with the NHL All-Star Game. Is it time we do away with these, or is the NFL right saying, hey, if we're going to get like a 5 rating in this game that makes us money, we'll do it every single year?
Never forget the reason sports leagues exist. They exist to make money. They exist to make money for their owners, and that's what the whole game is about. So the fans don't care about either of the All-Star games, the Pro Bowl or the NHL All-Star game. I guess the fans sometimes care about the NHL All-Star game. Hasn't happened of late. But you better believe the corporate sponsors do. And the corporate sponsors are the ones who make these games happen. All right, the TV ratings aren't great. Okay. Doesn't hurt the league. They still make something for it. Doesn't hurt the network. Some people still watch. So we can count on seeing non-competitive All-Star games and crappy Pro Bowls where you're sitting there in the rain and going, please don't let my guy get hurt. Please don't let my guy get hurt. And Keenan Allen gets hurt. Juju Smith-Schuster gets hurt in the rain. And you're like, oh, let not be. I hope he didn't rip his leg up. That's the nature of the world. It's all based on dollars. And the dollars say these games will continue even if the ratings stink.
Based on those dollars, that's what we do here at That Betting Show. I want to thank you again for tuning in on January 28, 2019, Super Bowl week. Each and every day, Teddy and I are going to zero in on the Super Bowl, try to get you that knowledge, that information, and bring it to you. And certainly you want to check out the channels at SBRodds.com for all those changes. He's Teddy Sevransky. I'm Donnie Seymour. That was This Betting Show. Tune in tomorrow. We'll catch you again. SportsbookReview.com. Take care, folks.